Welcome back everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Builds, and today we're dealing with the 1994 Honda Acty. This now has 668 horsepower, 682 pounds-feet of torque from a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine. The vehicle now weighs 1,850 pounds. Already had 4-wheel drive to start with, but it now has off-road tyres and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 6.493 seconds, 0 to 108.783 seconds, and going to a top speed of 180 miles an hour. So I have obviously added some weight to this car with the cargo box van bit of it on there, but I added that purely because it adds a bit of weight to the vehicle and therefore hopefully adds some stability to the rear end. So obviously in standard form it is just a pickup, and therefore yeah, not much weight on those rear wheels, and obviously we are dealing with far more speed and power this time around, so it needs as much weight as possible. And I've also changed the headlights because I do prefer these round ones to those square ones with the slightly rounded edge on one corner. So yeah, that it comes with in standard form. So obviously this is dealing with well in excess more of the 600 horsepower than it had originally, and obviously more than 600 pounds-feet of torque. So it's going to be interesting to see what this can do in comparison to the other cars we've had on this series so far, especially in comparison to the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, which we had in the previous episode, which became our second fastest vehicle in this series so far, but also in comparison to the only other K vehicle that we've had on this series so far, as obviously this is a K truck, and then we've had the K car from Subaru Viveo as well. So yeah, which is currently sat in last place. So yeah, be interested to see what this can do in comparison to that. This is heavier than that car. I also don't believe it's got as much power, but it'd be interesting regardless to see what it can do. It seems quite stable so far for something that obviously has quite a high centre of gravity. So I've used this engine a lot of times in previous Forza Horizon games, and quite the reliable engine, although not proving too reliable there. And again, that's mostly my fault. The bumps nicely. Now obviously it does help that this has all-wheel drive standard, just like the Subaru Viveo does as well. Although like that car, it is getting a little bit twitchy under using so much power. Obviously it doesn't help that it's got quite a short wheelbase, and even though it's, you know, 1,850 pounds, which is more than the Subaru, it's still not very much at all. But I imagine it might well have been worse without this box van configuration on it. Massive oversteer moment in the final bit. Yeah, this is not going to be a quick time at all. Obviously a couple of mistakes on my part, but yeah, the car was never going to be the quickest ever anyway, just because it wasn't all that controllable and really wasn't able to really put its power down. So yeah, 2 minutes 46.3 seconds dead is yeah, the slowest time we've had so far by nearly 13 seconds. I guess that's no real surprise. At the end of the day, this only had 37 horsepower in stock form. Certainly wasn't any speed machine even in that version either. So yeah, no major surprises there. I just wish it had been a little bit more controllable and therefore a little bit more fun to drive. But still, you know, it's not the. I imagine it won't be the worst time we'll see on a for a vehicle on this series. But ultimately, the slight additional weight over the Subaru Viveo, which was about 100 pounds lighter than this, while also having nearly 100 extra horsepower, is probably ultimately why this wasn't as good as it could have been. Although I imagine maybe more power would have made it more uncontrollable, because it didn't feel like the most, you know, consistent car when using this course, especially towards the latter half. It did feel like it was struggling to put the power down, struggling to stay in a certain direction. So yeah, who knows what could have happened, but ultimately I do believe this is the most power you can put in this car. So yeah, it's not like we can find out anyway. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.